What's up, everybody? What's up? Appreciate y'all tuning in already. Gonna be live for about another hour or so, just like we do every day. I didn't stream over the weekend. I didn't stream on Wednesday or Thursday, but we're gonna get a schedule down. We're gonna be streaming probably at least Monday through Friday every single day. Probably pop on the weekends as well. About this time every single day, 3:30, 4 o'clock Eastern. Once we get a good schedule down, hopefully we'll be able to grow the stream, get more people in here. Always appreciate you guys tuning in already, man. I think there's already 70 or 80 of you in here, and I haven't even started streaming yet. So thank you for everyone tuning in. Got a fun slate ahead. 7 games, I think. 7 games. We had 8 games, but we're down to 7. In case you didn't know, the Pelicans-Mavs game got postponed, so we're down to a 7-game slate. We're going to break this down. We're going to answer questions. Just answer any questions you guys got. So starting off, who's the dark horse tonight? Dark horse? I don't know if there's a dark horse. There's some guys that I think are going to be low owned that I really like. If people are not going to play Julius Randle, I'm just going to keep playing Julius Randle. I know he's 9,600, but the dude can put up 50, 60 DK points any night. He's playing 40 minutes a night. Really like Julius Randle. He's probably one of my favorite tournament plays of the day. I think he's going to be, under owned once again. So I guess dark horse for the night. Give me Julius Randle. Who's the best value tonight, and why is it Deni Avdija? Yeah, I do like Deni Avdija. So he played a lot of minutes last game. It was finally a game where he got big minutes. They were kind of playing him mid 15, 16, 18 minutes. Just wasn't getting consistent run. Got up to 32 minutes last game with Westbrook and Beal out. Was really productive, 40 DK points. Now that Thomas Bryant is out, I think that does help to solidify the minutes for Avdija. That's just one guy that's out of the rotation that can't take minutes away from him. I don't know if we're going to get 32, but I think high 20s is very likely. No Westbrook, so that's more usage to go around. I do like Deni Avdija quite a bit. Small forward's always a pretty gross position. Always tough to find plays that really stand out. So I'm looking to pay down most of the time at small forward. I think Deni Avdija is actually a pretty good value today. I like him quite a bit on both sites. Yo, Noah, the man with the plan. Appreciate that, MR Golf. Thanks for tuning in, man. How do you rank the Wiz top values, Denny, Wagner, and Ish? So I think it depends on the starting lineup. My best guess is that Robin Lopez starts for Thomas Bryant, but if by some chance Mo Wagner starts, I think Wagner would be my top value from Washington. I'm assuming he comes off the bench, though. So ranking those guys, I would probably rank them in the order that you have them. Denny, number 1, Wagner, number 2, and then Ish, number 3. I like Ish and Neto today. I just don't think they're top values for me. We just have so many other better value plays on this slate. They've both been priced up as well. Ish is, I know Neto's 4,600 on DK. Yeah, Neto's 4,600. Ish is 4,400. I don't think either one of those guys, they're probably going to split the point guard minutes. I don't think either one stands out as a core value, but I will for sure be mixing both those guys in. I normally play about 10 to 20 lineups, so I'll have some lineups with, one or two of those guys. Maybe one lineup with Ish, maybe one lineup with Neto, but don't really expect either one of those guys to be making my night, making or breaking my night. Noah, bring that fire. Appreciate that, Zachary. The GOAT. DeRozan is out tonight. I think that's for tomorrow. I think DeRozan, the Spurs play tomorrow, so that's for tomorrow. I plan on hitting that $10,000 tonight. I wish you the best of luck, Derek. Hopefully if it's not me, then it's you. Mike Scott, yeah. Mike Scott's a really good value. I am assuming that he does start for Tobias Harris. We already know that it's going to be Maxey. Maxey's going to start at point guard for Philly. Embiid's going to start at center. Danny Green's going to start. So, the other two guys. My best guess is that Mike Scott starts at power forward, and then I think his name's, I don't even know, Isaiah Joe. He started shooting guard last game, and I think he probably starts at shooting guard again. So Philly's starting lineup will most likely be Maxey, Joe, Danny Green, Mike Scott, and Joel Embiid. Assuming Mike Scott does start, he's minimum salary, $3K. This is a guy that we've seen in past, last season, maybe Tobias Harris would miss a game, Mike Scott would get the start, and then he'd play 22 minutes and score 15 points, and you'd just be disappointed. I don't think we're going to get that kind of performance from him today. There's just so much usage to go around. They're so thin. Mike Scott's going to have to play big minutes just because they really have no one else. I think he probably plays 32, 34 minutes, if not more than that. He's probably going to score 25, 30 DK points. He should have the opportunity to get shots up, Joel Embiid's going to dominate the usage tonight, but somebody else is going to have to do something besides Embiid. I do like Mike Scott quite a bit. I think he's probably one of the better value plays on the slate right now, assuming that he does wind up starting. Fade Maxey and GPP. I think he's going to be probably the most popular play on the slate. If not him or Embiid, one of those two guys is going to be the most chalky plays on the slate. So, you can always fade guys if they're going to be really popular. Me personally, though, I'm going to have a ton of Maxey tonight. I might go all in. I'm not sure yet, but he still looks like one of the best plays overall. He's just a very productive player, and he's going to play big minutes. Sure, things could maybe go south, and now that Embiid's there to take shots away, but I still think Maxey's going to have a really good game, so I'm going to be very heavy on him. I definitely won't be fading him. The DFS goat. Any Miles Bridges on DK? Not really for me. I don't think I'm going to be really looking to Miles Bridges. I don't think I've played Miles Bridges at all this year. He's coming off the bench. He's going to get probably, 26, 28 minutes. At 4,500, I think there's just guys I'd rather play over him. Honestly, I'd rather play Danny Green over Miles Bridges. And, that may sound like a gross thing to say, but Danny Green actually looks like a pretty good value tonight just because Philly's so thin, man. They're going to have to play these guys big minutes. Thoughts on Oladipo on Yahoo? I do like Oladipo. He's at small forward, which is appealing. Small forward's usually always a pretty bad position. He's $29. I think he's definitely in play. Him, Brogdon, Sabonis, all of those three guys are just getting big minutes every night. All the usage is going to those three guys. We've seen Oladipo be very productive this year. He's been a much more productive player on a point-per-minute basis than he was, last season. I do like him on Yahoo at $29. I think if I'm not paying up for Oladipo or Hayward, then I'm probably going cheap at small forward for Hunter in the mid-range, or I'm just going to punt with Avia, who's $12, Danny Green, who's $11. Avia and Green definitely look like really good values on Yahoo at small forward. Westy out for I saw Russell Westbrook's out for a week, I believe, at least a week. So we're going to be able to play Bradley Beal for a couple more slates. It's going to be interesting to see how high his price gets over the next week with Westbrook out. Mike Scott, Embiid, Green, and Maxey in a GPP. I don't have any problem playing all four of those guys together. I think if you are playing 4 Sixers in one lineup, you probably want to play someone on the Hawks side, but you don't have to. Scott is so cheap. Maxey is still so cheap that those guys can both crush value. Embiid could still do really well. Danny Green will be the one question mark, but I do expect Danny Green to play a ton of minutes. He's going to have to get shots up. They just don't really have anyone else to score besides Embiid and Maxey, so I don't mind playing those four guys together. I think it's totally fine. Thoughts on Danny Green on small forward, or do you prefer Avia? Yeah, that's going to be a close one for me. I think right now I'll probably have more exposure to Avia just because I think he gives you more upside. Danny Green, although he's really, really cheap, he's never someone you feel like you have to have. If he goes out there and scores 28 fantasy points, then yeah, he'll be a really good value, but he could definitely get outscored by Avia. We saw Avia go for 40 last game. I just think Avia is a guy that can give you 35, 40 fantasy points, whereas I don't think Danny Green's going to do that even on his good nights. So between Avia and Green on Yahoo, I would rather play Avia. But I like both quite a bit. I'll have exposure to both those guys for sure. Do you think the staggered minutes of Paul and Booker can help Ayton's usage? He's been averaging, but what a spot to get right. Yeah, so with Cameron Payne out, they will stagger Paul and Booker now. You're going to see one of those two guys on the floor at all times. I believe Cameron Payne was out last game, and he's doubtful, so he's not expected to play today. He last played on the 8th, so I'm pretty sure he was out in their last game. And we saw Devin Booker have a pretty good game last game with Cameron Payne out. He played 36 minutes, had 43 DK points. Chris Paul, on the other hand, I don't think was as productive. He played 33 minutes, had 33 DK points. Now that Cameron Payne is out, that is beneficial for Paul and Booker because they'll get to play sometime without one on the floor. So you'll see Paul playing without Booker. You'll see Booker playing without Paul. How does that benefit Ayton? I don't really know. If there was ever a spot for Ayton to finally put up a monster game, this would definitely be it against Washington. What's his price right now on DK? He's 7,300. He still is definitely in play for me. He's been really disappointing this year. We haven't really gotten any big games from Ayton. His best game of the year was 40 DK points, but look, if there was ever a spot for him to finally go off 45, 50 DK points, this is definitely the spot for Ayton. So in tournaments, he's going to be low owned. I think he does give you plenty of upside. I actually do like those Sun guys tonight. Booker, Paul, Ayton. I think they're all going to be under owned, and it's a great spot. So those are the three guys I'd look to target for sure from Phoenix. What about Melo Ball at 7,400 on FanDuel? good GPP play. Yeah, I still like LaMelo Ball. I still think he is playable even at 7K. He's just going to be so productive when he's on the floor. The minutes are starting to trend up. We're seeing them play LaMelo alongside Rozier and Graham, which is just beneficial for LaMelo because, if they can play him at small forward, then, he's just going to get more minutes. He doesn't have to worry about losing minutes to Graham or losing minutes to Rozier or late in games, when Graham and Rozier are on the floor. LaMelo, he doesn't have to be sitting on the bench. He can play alongside those guys. He's a versatile player. He can play all different positions. If they're going to give him 30, 32 minutes, even at 7K, he's just a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. He's going to contribute in all categories. He can get defensive stats as well. He can get steals. I still really like LaMelo Ball at 7K. We're going to see this guy post triple-doubles a lot this year. He posted a triple-double last game, and that will definitely not be his last of the year. He's going to have a lot of triple-doubles this season. Just so productive, a guy that, can score, can grab rebounds, can get assists. Even at 7K, if they're giving him 30 minutes, you're going to see Melo putting up 40, 45 DK points a lot this year. I still really like him on this slate, and he's for sure going to be low-owned, I think. Mike Scott getting that 30 burger. Yeah, I do like Mike Scott. 30, I don't know, that might be a little high, but I think, any projection site you look at, they're probably going to have Scott projected for 32 minutes and probably 25 DK points, which is really good at minimum salary. PJ Washington. Yeah, P.J. Washington had a big game last game. He got a ton of blocks, I believe. I think he had 6 blocks. Yeah, 6 blocks last game, 44 DK points. He's been playing really well, but now that he's up to 6,400, I just don't think I'm really going to be playing P.J. Washington on this slate at that price point. I just think his price has gotten to a point where, he's not someone I'm really gonna have my night rely on. Sure, if he makes it into maybe a small percentage of my lineups, then that's fine, but, I don't really want to have my night riding on P.J. Washington. If you're building one lineup, can you fade Beal and Embiid, or are they just must play? So, if I was playing one lineup, I would probably want both of those guys. I think you're going to want at least one of the two. I don't see a scenario where if I was only playing one lineup tonight, I would have at least one of Beal or Embiid. Probably Embiid, but if I can find a way, I want to get both Beal and Embiid because those are two of my favorite pay-up options for sure on this slate. Why do you do Yahoo instead of FanDuel? Yahoo was actually the first site I ever started playing on. When they launched back in 2015, that was the first time I ever started playing DFS. I was playing season long on Yahoo. I'd been doing that for a while, but I saw they introduced DFS at the time. I didn't know what DFS was, so I checked it out. I started playing a little bit, getting into some really low dollar contests. Obviously, I didn't win really much at all, but I kept playing. I found out about other content sites. I saw there were sites that were doing, DFS advice. I started listening to guys that provide content. That's what kind of, got me into the industry, I guess. And then, later on, I decided that I should start my own content because I felt like I knew what I was doing. But, yeah, Yahoo was the first site I ever played on. So, I don't know. I've been playing there since the beginning. It's definitely my favorite DFS site. I've had the most success by far on Yahoo. How many Sixers is too many in GPP? I think 4 is probably the max. If you're playing more than 4, then that's probably too many. I think 4 is definitely the max. 3 feels like the sweet spot, though. Maxey, Embiid, Scott, that feels kind of like the 3 that I would want for sure. And if you want to throw Danny Green in there or Isaiah Joe or someone else, you could. But 3, maybe 4, that's kind of where I'm looking at tonight. John Collins against the Sixers. I do like John Collins. I think he's going to be under-owned. I think he makes for a great run-back option if you're playing 3 or 4 Sixers. Like I said, if you're playing a lot of these Sixers, you probably want to have someone on the Hawks side because if the game is high scoring, if the game winds up being close and all these Sixers values do really well, that probably means that someone on the Hawks side is doing well too. And John Collins, someone I do like from the Hawks. I've been playing him a lot this year. Sometimes it's worked out, sometimes it hasn't, but good matchup here. Philly obviously missing a lot of guys, so their defense not going to be nearly as good tonight. I think it's definitely a good spot for these Atlanta guys. Hunter, Collins, Trae Young, I do have interest in today. Even Cam Reddish, I don't mind either. I'm pretty sure Atlanta's missing some guys as well, like Bogdanovich is out, Gallo's still out, so there's definitely minutes to go around. You're going to see Cam Reddish, Hunter, those guys play over 30 minutes most likely. Kevin Huerter, he kind of benefits with Bogdan out as well, but I think I'd rather play Reddish and probably rather play Hunter over Huerter if I can. If I'm going to target, one of the, whether it's Huerter, Hunter, Reddish, I think it's definitely going to be Hunter and Reddish for me. Huerter is kind of my least favorite option from Atlanta. Leverage play on stud, talking Julius Randle with high ownership on some of these other top guys. Charlotte front court. Yeah, I like Julius Randle a lot. I think he's a great tournament play. He's going to be under-owned. Just straight up, I still think Embiid's a better option. I think Embiid gives you more upside, but, if you can find a way to get Embiid and Randle in together, which you should be able to, given the value we already have, I do like Randle quite a bit. Just hit that like button and gave you those thumbs up. Enjoy. I appreciate that, KJ. Thanks for liking the video, man. Yeah, everyone, if you're watching, hit the like button. I don't know how many people we got in here, but I appreciate all you tuning in already. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for all the support on the streams recently. It's just been so fun getting on here and talking with you guys. So, you guys make the stream great because you keep the chat flowing. I got to get up to some of these questions. Do you like Ayton against the Wizards? Yeah, we talked about Ayton earlier. I do like him in tournaments. I think he's going to be lower owned, or he's going to be low owned for sure. Why does everyone sleep on Mitchell Robinson? I haven't really been sleeping on Mitchell Robinson this year. He's been playing a lot of minutes, which is key. Pretty much all these Knicks starters have, like Randle, Robinson, Barrett. Like, these dudes have been playing 34, 36 minutes. You've seen Randle and Barrett playing like 40 minutes. It's weird that, Robinson hasn't been nearly as productive this year. Like, last season, he would go out there and put up 30 fantasy points in 20 minutes basically every night. He's getting big minutes now this year, but his production's gone way down, which is kind of weird. But good matchup against the Hornets. Probably going to be low owned on this slate with so many other standout plays. I do still like Mitchell Robinson. Pretty much the same reasons I like Randle. It's such a good matchup for Julius Randle. Or same reasons I would be interested in Robinson as well. Hunter, my favorite run back with the Philly stat. Yeah, I think Hunter's a great run back option, especially because he's at small forward. On like Yahoo, he's small forward, which just is such a bad position already. It normally always is. Today there's actually some pretty good small forwards. You got Avia for cheap, Danny Green for cheap. You got Hunter, obviously. You could pay up for Oladipo, Hayward, but yeah, I think DeAndre Hunter looks like one of the preferred options to target from Atlanta. Yeah, we talked about Danny Green earlier. I never feel good putting Danny Green in my lineup just because I think he doesn't give you a ton of upside, but he's going to play a ton of minutes. Someone's going to have to shoot besides Embiid and Maxey. So, I think last game, Danny Green took like 15 or 16 shots. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, he took 17 shots last game. He shot pretty poorly, 23% from the field, 28% from three, and he still had 27 Draftkings points. If we're going to get 35, 36 minutes from Green tonight, if he's going to take 15, 16 shots, sure, he may not be as involved now that Embiid's back, but still, I think Danny Green is viable on the slate. I prefer him more on Yahoo where he's a lot cheaper. 4,700 on DraftKings. You're looking for like 30 plus DK points. Does Danny Green have 30 plus point upside in him? Possibly, but more so on Yahoo. That's where I like him. Sabonis a good play in a fast-paced game? Yeah, I never have a problem with Sabonis. He's always a guy I'm willing to pay up for. I do prefer Julius Randle just straight up, but I think Sabonis is a great option for sure. Could you rank the Philly guys? I think when you factor in price, it's probably Maxey number 1, Embiid number 2, Scott number 3. Like, those are definitely my 3 favorites. And then, you can mix in Danny Green, you can mix in Isaiah Joe. Maybe, once we get a starting lineup, that'll definitely determine things. But for right now, number 1, Maxey, number 2, Embiid, and number 3, Scott. And those are by far my 3 favorites. Do you like Kim Birch? I'm not really on Kim Birch tonight. I know that, like with Aaron Gordon back, I don't know if he's going to get 24 minutes like he did last game. Like, I think Gordon was out that game against Dallas. That was why you saw Kim Birch play 24 minutes. He's been playing good 23, 24 minutes. But on this slate, I think there's just so many other guys I would rather target. Sure, maybe things go your way and maybe the game blows out. Kim Birch gets in blowout run, but I'm really not on him on the slate. There's just so many other guys I'd rather go to. Randle or Ayton, PPV. I'm not sure what PPV means, but between Randle or Ayton, if you're just asking me to choose one, I'd rather have Julius Randle. I'm way behind on questions, so let me get back up to where I was at. Does Orlando keep it close against the Bucks? Probably not, but you never know at this point. Like, if you like Orlando guys, if you like Milwaukee guys, I wouldn't get off of them just because you're scared of blowout. We've seen so many times this year when games look like they should be a blowout, they're not. It's just, it might blow out, but I would not let that get me off of guys I like. Trae Young and Carmelo Anthony or LaMelo Ball and Aaron Gordon? Ooh, that's close. Give me the second one. Give me LaMelo and Aaron Gordon. Single entry, Denny or Danny Green. Give me Denny Avia over Danny Green if I had to choose one. Is Dotson a good play for 4,900? Yeah, I think I'm going to wait to see the status of Colin Sexton. I think if Colin Sexton is out, that'll make me a lot more interested in Damian Dotson. He's been getting a ton of minutes lately with Sexton out. He's played 35 and 41 minutes over their last 2 games. Obviously, 40 DraftKings points. I don't know if we just should expect 40 DK points from a pretty low usage player like Damian Dotson, but with no Sexton, if he's out, like they just don't have any other guards. Like Dotson's going to have to play 38 to 40 minutes because Dellavedova's still out. Like they just have so many guys out. Kevin Porter's still out. Kevin Love's still out. Let's see. Let's go to Cleveland, see who's out. So yeah, Garland's out, Porter's out, Exum's out, like Dellavedova's out. They just have so many guards out right now that if Sexton is out as well, we should get 38, 40 minutes from Damian Dotson, which would make him a solid option. He's cheap on Yahoo, so I like him more over there. Trey looks awful. He can't make his threes and takes a ton of bad shots. Yeah, he's been really struggling lately, but I think this is probably an opportunity where we can buy low on Trae Young. He's not going to continue to be this bad. He's going to have a good game at some point. He's still a high-usage player, a guy that's going to take a ton of shots. Against a Philly team that's missing so many starters, that's running a bunch of backups, if there was ever a spot for Trae Young to get going, this would definitely be it. He's another one of my kind of guys I'll be looking to in my Philly stacks as like a run-back option. In lineups where I have 3 or 4 Sixers, I will for sure be trying to fit in Trae Young into those lineups if I can. Randall Melton or Hunter Ball. I love Julius Randle, but I'm not really on D'Anthony Melton, so I guess give me the second one. Give me Hunter and LaMelo Ball. Do we fade Trae Young until his wrist is healed fully? I'm not fading Trae Young. I'll have exposure to him tonight. I think he's going to be too low owned on this slate. He still has so much upside, and he's not going to continue to be as bad as he's been, so I'm not fading Trae Young. I'm going to have exposure. There's some dissension in the Hawks locker room. If you haven't heard, Trae and John specifically, I haven't heard any locker room talk. Booker and Paul playable together for a GPP. I probably wouldn't play both those guys together. If you're doing that, then I think you want to have someone on the Wizards side. So like if you're stacking up Booker and Paul, then you probably want to play Bradley Beal, which is going to be tough to do. Me personally, I probably won't have any lineups with Booker and Paul together. I'll definitely have exposure to Booker and I'll have exposure to Paul, but I don't think I'm going to have any lineups with them together. Brogdon or Fred VanVleet? Give me Brogdon over Fred VanVleet. You like anyone in the night games? Anyone from Indy? Yeah, if I'm going to target anyone from the Pacers, it's going to be Sabonis, Brogdon, Oladipo. Like, those are really the 3 guys I have the most interest in. We do have news in the night game that we're going to have to wait and see on. From the Sacramento side, Buddy Hield and Rashawn Holmes are both still questionable. If Buddy Hield winds up out, I think that greatly benefits Tyrese Halliburton, who would become a much better play. He's expensive on DraftKings, so it's not like he's a strong option anyway, but he would at least be viable. The main interest here is Hassan Whiteside. So if Rashawn Holmes winds up out again, Hassan Whiteside, I know his price came up to $4,200, but last game with Holmes out, he came off the bench, played 24 minutes, had 28 DK points. If we're going to get 22 to 24 minutes from Whiteside with potentially Holmes out, even at $4,200, he still has so much upside to pay off this price point. So really, that's kind of like the late news that we're waiting on. If Holmes if Holmes is out again, that does benefit Whiteside a lot, and he would be a really good option in that late night game. PJ Washington worth playing? Yeah, I talked about PJ Washington earlier. He's been playing really well, but his price point's gotten to a point where I'm not really going out of my way to play PJ Washington when he's 6,400. At that point, you're looking for about 40 fantasy points, and I just don't know if PJ Washington is going to consistently put up 40 fantasy points. Let's see where I was at. I'm pretty behind on questions. Holy crap. All right, I'm just going to start from the bottom down here. I'm just so far behind. Still like Dotson even if Sexton plays. Yeah, I didn't talk about if Sexton plays. I think if Sexton plays, that'll definitely lower my interest in Dotson. On DraftKings, I probably won't be playing him if Sexton plays, but on Yahoo, he is still really cheap over there. I think he's $12 at shooting guard. Yeah, he's $12 at shooting guard. Even if Sexton plays, I still think Dotson is viable on Yahoo, but I would prefer that Sexton be out before I really, put a lot of my money on Damian Dotson. Dwayne Bacon, I'm probably not on Dwayne Bacon tonight. I think there's just so many other guys I'd rather go to. Like, even with all these guys out for Orlando, he just really hasn't been doing too much. I'm not sure what he did last game, but I know recently he just hasn't been that productive. Like, he's getting solid minutes, but he's not great on a point per minute basis. There's so many other guys I think I'd rather go to. How do you feel about having leftover salary? Like I have what leftover feels like it's wasted. Yeah, on a main slate like this, I would not leave that much on the salary. I think, $500, $600, that's probably the max amount I would leave on a main slate. Now on like a 2-game slate where you're really trying to get different, then yeah, leaving over $1,000 is in play. But on a big slate like this, 7 games, I would not leave that much on the table. New to GPP, any wisdom you can shed on choosing contests on DK? I would recommend you play the lowest entry fee you can. So, if you can play like the $1, the quarter arcade, like that's a great way to start out. Like if you have the time, if you can hand build 20 lineups, I think playing 20 lineups in the quarter arcade, putting those same 20 lineups in like the $1 20 max, the $3 20 max, the $4 20 max, like that's a great way to start out. If you're only playing one lineup, then I think, just playing single entry, so that way, you're not competing against people with 150 lineups. Everyone has one lineup, so it's equal playing field. Try and find the lower, not entry fee, but the lower field contests. So like contests with maybe 500, 600 people. Those are going to be a lot easier to win than contests with 4,000, 5,000 people. You'll see over time your ROI in those small field contests is going to be a lot higher than the big field contests. The big field contests, they have big prize pools. They have, a lot of money to first place, but in the reality, you're more often going to win the smaller field contests and pull more of a bigger profit in those than chasing the big prize pools. Like that's why I like Yahoo so much, because their top GPP is their 40K baller with 10K to first, 3,000 entries. I mean, 3,000 entries, if I've got 10, 20 entries in here, I feel like I have a logistic shot to win this every night. Whereas on Draftkings, you're going up in tournaments with 60,000, 70,000 people. Even if you have 150 lineups, you're still, that's just so many other entries you're competing against. I wish Yahoo was still 10 entry max like they used to be back in the day. But, even now with this contest being 90 entries max, I still feel like I have a good chance to win it with 10, 20, 30 lineups. If you're stacking Philly, would you do Beal or Trae Young? I think I'm doing Beal on Washington to spend. Yeah, I think, just straight up, I still do prefer Beal over Trae Young. And even if I have Philly guys, I think I would still play Beal over Young. But I do like both, and I will definitely have exposure to Trae Young tonight. Bradley Beal and Denny together with a 3 Philly stack, 1 entry. Yeah, I think playing Beal and Denny together is fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. Util with 9,200 left. Let's see. You got 9,200 left. Util, I would probably go with Andre Drummond there. I mean, Drummond been getting plenty of minutes, like 38, 40 minutes a night. He's been so productive. Like, I think they played JaVale McGee alongside Drummond last game, and that's actually pretty beneficial for Drummond just because, McGee can't take minutes away from Drummond when they're playing alongside each other. So if we're going to keep getting 38, 40 minutes from Drummond, I mean, at 9,200, I still do like him on this slate. Obviously, he's going to be behind, Randall and Embiid, who we've talked about, but Drummond's still viable for sure. And he would be my favorite util at 9,200 or less. Thoughts on Boucher? Yeah, I always like Chris Boucher. It was weird that they didn't start him last game. They said they were going to make some changes to their starting lineup, and they started Norman Powell. Boucher came off the bench. He played 24 minutes. He was in foul trouble the entire game. He fouled out in 24 minutes. I think, most nights we're probably going to get mid-20s in minutes from Boucher. He has clearly passed up Alex Len and Aaron Baines in kind of like the center rotation. He's clearly like the backup center right now behind Pascal Siakam. So even at 6K, like Boucher is still in play because this dude can drop 40 fantasy points in 20 minutes. Like he's so productive on a point per minute basis. He scores, he rebounds, he blocks a ton of shots. Like I have no problems playing Boucher today at 6K. I think at some point we may see him in the starting lineup, but I doubt it comes today, maybe later down the road. Avia or Miles Bridges? Between those two, give me Denny Avia. Thoughts on Drew? Yeah, I don't really play Drew that much when Giannis is healthy, when Middleton's healthy. Obviously, Drew was very appealing last slate when Giannis was out, but now that Giannis is back, Middleton's still healthy. Like I just don't have too much interest in Drew Holiday. He's just really like a secondary play at that. OG Anunoby, a good play. I never really liked playing OG Anunoby. He's kind of like a better version of Danny Green to me in that he's just going to play a lot of minutes. He's not going to really stuff the stat sheet, but the minutes will be there. If you're just looking for a guy small forward that you can like rely on for big minutes. OG's your guy, but still, we should definitely temper our expectations with him because even in 38 minutes, he can give you 20 fantasy points. Like, I think there's other small forwards I'd probably rather go to on the slate. There's guys for cheaper I would definitely like. Whiteside is if Holmes is out. Yeah, we talked about Whiteside. I like him a lot if Holmes is out. But the tricky thing is that's a 10 o'clock game, so I don't know if we'll have that news, before lock. Randall or Embiid on DK. Between those two, give me Embiid, but I do really like Julius Randle. I'll probably have plenty of lineups with both those guys. Hey, Noah. What's up, Max? Appreciate you tuning in, man. Tyrese Maxey a play tonight? Yeah, Maxey's a great play. He should start at point guard. Going to play a ton of minutes. Philly is so thin. I don't know if we can expect 60 Draftkings points again, but I think 35 minutes and 35, 40 DK points is totally in Maxey's range of outcomes. He's too cheap, in my opinion. Will Ingram be low owned? I mean, yeah, he's going to be low owned because that game isn't on the slate anymore. Yeah, he's going to be low owned. He'll be about 1% owned. Maybe less than that. He'll probably be about 0.5. There'll be some people that forget to take him out. Last slate on Yahoo, like after the Boston Miami game got canceled, I went through lineups and started looking for guys that were in that game, and like Daniel Tice was still 3% owned. Jimmy Butler was still 2% owned. Like people still played guys from the Miami Boston game last night. They're still an edge, my friends. They're still an edge. People will forget to check out their lineups and all that crap. You can still get dead money in the pool every night. I need a center at 6,600. Who do I take? 6,600. I would probably take Yusuf Nurkic there at 6,600. Or it'd be between Nurkic, Boucher, or Mitchell Robinson. Boucher, I always like, for his upside, but there's still risk with Boucher. He could only play 20 minutes. He could only play 18 minutes. Nurkic, his minutes haven't been that high either, but we know he's at least going to start and should play 28 to 30 minutes if it's a close game. So, yeah, I'd go Nurkic there. If you make 20 lineups, do you change just one player, or are those completely different? Oh, they're completely different. I'll have like a core of guys, like 2, 3, 4 guys I'll have in a lot of lineups, but I'll never have, 5 guys all in every single lineup. Like, they're going to be completely different lineups. Like some nights this might be a slate where I go really heavy on Philly guys, but that doesn't mean I'm going to have, Scott, Maxey, and Embiid. I'm not going to have all 3 of those guys in every single lineup. That's just too much on those 3 guys, Although I like all 3 of those, something could go wrong. They could twist an ankle. The game could blow out. I think you could have a good core, core of guys that you like, but I would never have 4 or 5 guys in every single lineup. Mike Scott or Danny Green or Avia. I mean, just between those 3, not factoring in price, I would go Avia. But Mike Scott, he's so much cheaper than those guys that factoring in price, Mike Scott would be the guy I would go with. How would you rank the 76ers value guys after Maxey? Well, after Maxey, it would be Scott number 2 for me. It's tough to gauge, like, with Isaiah Joe, Dakota Mathias, like, how are these guys going to produce alongside Embiid? I really don't have too much interest in, besides, like, Maxey, Green, and Mike Scott. Like, Isaiah Joe is probably going to start, but last game he started, played 45 minutes, and he still only had 24 points. He couldn't make a shot. I mean, he shot 22% from the field, 27% from 3. I guess if I was going to play someone besides Maxey, Green, or Scott, it would probably be Isaiah Joe. Dakota Mathias, like, he got 41 minutes off the bench. He had 25 DK points. I don't know if we can expect 41 minutes again. I think, probably high 20s is more likely. Tony Bradley, I don't know if he even plays. Now that Embiid's back, they'll probably just have Dwight Howard back up Embiid. I don't think Tony Bradley's really going to get too many minutes. Paul Reed, I mean, he got like 26 minutes, 19 fantasy points. Like, I don't really know much about these guys, I'll be honest with you. Like, I've never heard of some of these guys, but, ranking the Philly value behind Maxey, it would go Scott for me, behind Maxey, then Danny Green, then Isaiah Joe, then Mathias, then Paul Reed. That's probably the way I would rank them. I need to check this. Okay, Max donated $2 super chat. Thoughts on FanDuel locking Mavs versus Pelican players? Are they locked? Like, you can't take them out? I wouldn't think. I wouldn't think they're locked. I would assume you can still, if you made a lineup right now for the main slate, you can still take it. You can still change that lineup. Those players shouldn't be locked into your lineup. You should be able to take them out. I mean, that game doesn't start till like 8:30. So, if you have Philly and Mavs guys, or if you have Pelicans, Mavs guys in your lineup at 8:30, then yeah, you're screwed. But you still got plenty of time to fix all that. But thank you for the $2 super chat, Max. I do appreciate it, man. Favorite low small forward on FanDuel? I don't know FanDuel's pricing, but talking about value small forwards, it'd be like Danny Green, Denny Avia. I'm assuming those guys are small forward on FanDuel. I have no idea. Cole Anthony or Halliburton? Give me Halliburton over Cole Anthony. What's up, baby? What's up, Kai? Appreciate you tuning in, man. Noah here for my daily hello and appreciation towards you for your info. I appreciate that, Zachary. Thanks for tuning in, man. On Yahoo, I'm playing Beal, Embiid, Randall, Maxey. Then I'll value the rest. That's totally fine with me. Maybe throw Mike Scott in there, and you got a pretty good core, if you ask me. How many lineups do you do every day? I normally play 10 to 20 lineups on Yahoo and then like 10 on Draftkings. So normally it's 20 lineups total, 10 on Draftkings, 10 on Yahoo. I hand build my lineups, so I can't be playing a ton of lineups when I'm having to make manual adjustments. Some days I'll play just one lineup, but most days it's usually 10 on DK, 10 on Yahoo. You skip my question, Randall or Sabonis, $200 apart on FanDuel. I would still go Randall there. Thoughts on Paul Reed? Yeah, he would probably be towards the bottom. In terms of Philly value, he would be towards the bottom of my list. I still think he's viable just because they only have 9 healthy bodies. These guys are going to have to play minutes, but I think they're you get more upside from Matthias, from Isaiah Joe, from Mike Scott for cheaper. This is a snake draft I'm talking about for you did a snake draft. Well, if you did a snake draft, I would suggest you probably contact FanDuel support then. I've never played a snake draft on FanDuel, so I don't know how that works, but tell them, you can't swap, or I would think, if a game gets postponed, they would let you just swap to someone else, but I've never done a snake draft, so I have no idea. How can one fully trust Russell Westbrook when he commits so many turnovers? That's true. He is a turnover machine, but he's productive. He's a good point guard, in my opinion, still. Oh, all right, let's just get back to the bottom. How do you feel on fading Beal to fit Embiid and Randall in the same lineup? I think that's totally fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. It's going to be like Beal, Embiid, Randall. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit all 3 of those guys in one lineup, so I think picking 2 of the 3. I think Randall's going to be the lowest owned of the 3, so if you're playing tournaments, I think, getting Randall with Embiid is probably the way that I would go. When will we know the Sexton news, if he plays or not? It will probably come, let's say, that's 7 o'clock game. We should probably get an update around 5:30. I think the coaches speak to the media like an hour and a half before the game starts. So 5:30, we'll get an update. He may still be questionable at 5:30, but we should get a word at then, another update at least at 5:30, and then something closer to lock. Luckily, that game's at 7 o'clock, so we'll know before lock if Sexton's in or out. Any interest in Paul or Booker? Yeah, we talked about it earlier. I do like Paul and Booker. I like both quite a bit. I think they're both going to be lower owned than they should be. Noah, who do you like from Toronto? Portland should be opportunity for some big games. I mean, I haven't looked at too much from that game. I think Boucher is interesting from the Toronto side. From the Portland side, like there's just not really any standout plays in either side of that game. I think Boucher is the guy that I like most. Like Lowry, Van Vliet, Siakam, you can play those guys basically every slate, but they don't stand out as core options for me. Same with Lillard and McCollum, Nurkic. Like you can play those guys any slate, but they just don't stand out as must plays for me. I'm really focused on the Philly game. That game really stands out. There's just so much value. I like the Phoenix-Washington game a lot. The Knicks game I do like as well. So that's kind of where I'm looking to get most of my exposure to for today. If I make 2 lineups per night, how many core guys should I have? That's totally up to you. You could play 5 guys in both lineups. You could play 2 guys in both lineups. You could play 1. It's just all up to you. If you feel like guys are really, really strong options that maybe, like if there's 4 guys that you feel like are really good plays that, are very, very strong options, then maybe you play all 4 of those guys in both lineups. It's just kind of up to you. You're obviously, when you play in like 5 guys in the same lineup across 2 lineups, then it's going to be risky because, if those guys disappoint, then both of your lineups are going to be tanked. But, if you feel confident in the core that you have, then if it does well, you'll be in pretty good shape with, that core in both lineups. Favorite play today? I mean, it's Joel Embiid, I guess. Or Maxey. Embiid or Maxey, one of those 2 guys. Chris Paul or LaMelo? Still give me LaMelo there. I do like Chris Paul, but I still would prefer LaMelo over him. I did a snake draft for NFL. You can't swap. See, I don't know how that works. I thought like other sites did snake drafts, and you could, if a game got postponed or if your guy got ruled out that you drafted, you could swap him off with someone else. But I've never done one, so I don't know. Any thoughts on Brandon Clark? Probably not going to be on Brandon Clark today. I mean, there's just so many other guys I'd rather go to. His price is starting to come up as well. Just doesn't feel like a slate where I'm really going to be going out of my way to play Brandon Clark. 7,300 utility spot on DK. Let's take a look. 7,300. I guess I would go LaMelo there. It would be between LaMelo or Valanciunas. Probably would go with LaMelo, assuming you don't already have him. I like game stack techniques, specifically New York versus Charlotte. Who are your favorite plays from each side of this game? I mean, we've already talked about it from the Charlotte side. I like LaMelo. I don't mind Gordon Hayward. I like Devontae Graham. Those are kind of the three guys I'm liking the most from Charlotte: Hayward, Ball, and Graham. On the Knicks side, it's probably just like really on this slate as a whole. It's probably just Randall and maybe Robinson. Like I don't love R.J. Barrett on the slate. I don't love Elfrid Payton on this slate. Austin Rivers, not really going to chase him. So I like this game, but mainly like Randall, Robinson on the Knicks side, and then on the Hornets side, Hayward, Graham, and LaMelo Ball. But like I'm not going to have like all five of those guys in one lineup. I'm just going to mix and match across all my lineups. What do you attribute all these blowouts to this season? It's so hard to predict which. Yeah, I mean the blowouts have been so insane this year. Like even games that you think should be close, like games that have like a 4 or 5 point spread, it's like a 20-point blowout. It's killed like some DFS teams that I've had. Like I've had some good teams going into the end of the night, and then it's a blowout, and my guys don't play in the fourth quarter, and it just completely ruins everything. Like I have no idea. Maybe guys are tired because they didn't get much rest during it was a short off season. Maybe all this travel, the back-to-back. Like I have no idea. But the blowouts have been insane this year, and because so many teams are missing guys because of injuries and COVID stuff. That could be a reason why as well. Will you have any exposure to Cameron Johnson or Jay Crowder? Yeah, probably not. I don't expect to have exposure to really either one of those two guys. Booker, $32 on Yahoo. Great cash play. I mean, Booker's fine, but I think in cash games you probably want to try and get up to Bradley Beal at 43 if you're playing cash on Yahoo. Tony Bradley, I'm not really on Tony Bradley. I think with Embiid back, it's going to be, Embiid playing center for 36, 38 minutes, and then, Dwight Howard backing him up. I don't even know. Tony Bradley might not even play. I don't know. I'm not on him personally. LaMelo at utility tonight, a good play. Yeah, LaMelo's a great option. I think, I probably wouldn't play him at utility because that's the first game of the night, and you want to have, the guy that plays at the latest game in your util spot. So, but yeah, LaMelo's a good play. Would you play Atlanta since Philly will be shorthanded? Yeah, there's guys from Atlanta we've talked about that I like. DeAndre Hunter, Trae Young, John Collins. Those are the guys I have the most interest in. Don't mind Cam Reddish either. Noah for president. I appreciate that, man. Anchor, I see you in the comments like all the time on my videos. Thank you so much for commenting, showing your support. I appreciate it, man. Always leaving some nice comments. Drummond or CJ? Between those two, give me Andre Drummond. Fade Brogdon for LaMelo and cash. I mean, LaMelo can be risky. I don't know if I would want to technically play him in cash games. I love him in tournaments, but in cash, this feels like a slate where you're probably going to be focusing on Philly guys in cash games and then just kind of working from there. I don't think either one of those guys I would be building around in cash, but I do like both for tournaments, Brogdon and LaMelo. What about Hachimura? Yeah, we haven't talked about Rui yet, but I do like Rui. He got in foul trouble last game, but he still played a good amount of minutes, and he was pretty productive as well. With Thomas Bryant out, I think Rui possibly will get some time at center. They could possibly close with him at center, and he should be productive when he plays center. His rebounding numbers should see a spike. His price went up to $5,500, so he's not nearly as good of a play today, but I still do like Rui, and I think with Thomas Bryant out, that actually benefits him, more than you think. So I do have a good amount of interest in Rui. Who's the tilt of the night? Oh, man, that's a close one. Honestly, I love Mike Scott as a value, but I feel like, at the end of the night, we could see 30 minutes from Mike Scott and 15 fantasy points. Like, that's totally possible. Mike Scott's either going to put up like 30 plus, or he's going to put up like 15 or less. I really feel like there's no in between. You're either going to need him to win, or he's going to tank your lineups. Is Knox starting for Bullock? I have no idea. I don't think we've got a Knicks starting lineup yet. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to have starting lineups for probably another couple hours. I don't think I would really be going to Kevin Knox, but I guess if he does start, maybe he could be viable. Sabonis or Randall? Yeah, it's Randall for me. We got in a lot of Sabonis or Randall questions. I've said Randall's about 75 times, so I'm sure he's gonna suck tonight, and Sabonis is gonna go out there and smash. Beal matches are better than Embiid. I mean, he could possibly outscore Embiid, but I still think this is a slate where I want to try and fit in Embiid. I think Embiid could easily be the highest scoring player on the slate. He could outscore Giannis. He could outscore, anyone else. So it's Embiid for me still. But I do like both guys a lot. Your first time in the live stream, I appreciate you tuning in, man. I go live around 3:30 Eastern time. It's for sure going to be like Monday through Friday. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to stream on the weekends, but if I'm able to, I definitely will. I'll try and hop on during the weekends. But for sure, like Monday through Friday, I want to stream if I can. Mike Scott is a sleeper. I don't think he's going to be a sleeper. I think Mike Scott, if he starts, he's going to be probably the most popular value play on the slate. Raul Neto or Ish Smith, I think both those guys are viable. This doesn't really feel like a slate where I'm going to be going out of my way to play either one of Raul Neto or Ish Smith, just because their prices have come up. There's so many other good values on this slate, specifically from the Sixers, so they're viable, but they're going to split the point guard minutes. I don't think either one's like a core value for me. I'm fading Mike Scott. Never trust someone with two first names. That is true. Mike Scott sees him send him. Is it okay to have all 7 o'clock or 7:30 game? It doesn't really matter, honestly. Just play the guys that you like, and if they all come from one game, then so be it. I don't really look into that too much. I know there's some people out there that think you need to have at least one guy from the late night games, but I'll just play your lineup, and if whatever it turns out to be, then that's how it is. Thoughts on this lineup: LaMelo, Bradley Beal, Avia, Hunter, Embiid, Maxey, Scott, Dotson. Assuming Sexton's out, I think that's totally fine lineup. I like that quite a bit. I agree with what you said about Mike Scott, but he's 3K. Right. So, even if Mike Scott fails tonight, let's say he plays 30 minutes and has 15 points. 15 points at minimum salary, that's not going to completely tank your lineup. Obviously, he's not helping you win anything, but he could go out there and just knock down 6 threes, get 6 rebounds. He could put up 30-plus with ease, I feel like. So, a lot of times when we get these 3K values that project to play big minutes and their minimum salary, a lot of times I'll just kind of eat the chalk there, play those guys, and then kind of move on and get different elsewhere. I'll have a lot of Mike Scott in my lineups for sure. If he busts, then so be it. I assume because Bullock, so I don't know who would start for the Knicks. I thought Bullock's been out recently. I can't remember who started though. Let me see. Austin Rivers didn't start. Yeah, so I guess Knox would start if Bullock's out, but I don't really know. Let's see if they put anything in the blurb here. Austin Rivers is probably the guy you would want to target from the Knicks, but I don't really see myself going to either Rivers or Knox, honestly. You're saying Mike Scott in every lineup? Got it. He's not going to be in all my lineups, but he'll be one of my highest owned players for sure. I'll be eating that chalk. Ennis out, James Ennis. Does that? Yeah, I don't know if that really impacts too much. He's kind of been out recently. I guess if that benefits Gary Clark and that benefits Kim Birch, but I still don't consider either one of those guys like great values on this slate. I hope Mike goes prison Mike tonight. Yeah, me too. If Mike Scott puts up, let's say 30-plus points, I'll be pretty happy. I'll be in pretty good shape with the rest of the field. I have 6,300 left. Who should I play at utility? Let's take a look. 6,300. For upside, I think it probably would be Chris Boucher. It would be between Boucher or Hunter. I think Boucher probably gives you more upside, so I would go with Boucher there. De'Aaron Fox fan, I don't think this is going to be a slate where I really play De'Aaron Fox much. I think his price has started to come down. Let's see. No, he's still 7,900. It's not like the best matchup against the Pacers. Obviously, he's been disappointing lately, but some of that's been a blowout. He got hurt in the Chicago game. I still don't think this is going to be a slate where I play a lot of Fox. I'd rather save $900 and play LaMelo. I'd rather save $700 to play Chris Paul. If I can find the salary, I'd rather get up to Brogdon. So, not really going to have too much De'Aaron Fox tonight. Hopefully I do good tonight. I need to get over my Steelers losing. Steelers, man, they got the ass whooped last night. They came back, but it was not the score did not, deflect how the game actually went. It was the Browns were just steamrolling the whole night. Any chance Philly Atlanta gets postponed, better have a backup plan. I think there is a possibility. We saw the Mavs game got postponed because the Mavs did not have at least 8 players. Like if Philly has to rule out somebody, so they have 9 players right now. Like if they have to rule out 2 guys, then yeah, the game will get postponed. So just keep an eye on that. Right now it's all go. It's full go Philly Atlanta, but that could change at any minute. We've seen games get postponed 1 hour before tip off. Just keep your eye out. Always you need to be on Twitter checking news, hour before lock. That's the most important time to be checking for news and stuff. Is Mike Scott starting? He's not confirmed starting, but I looked at projected lineups, and he is in the projected starting lineup. Is Paul Reed going to get run tonight for Philly and score 15, 20 points on DK? I mean, he's going to have to play minutes. I think he got 26 last game. I put raw. So Paul Reed, 3,300. You got 26 minutes last game. You had 19 points. I mean, Embiid is back. Mike Scott's back. I think, low 20s is more likely today, like 20 to 22. He would be, like I said earlier, he would be towards the bottom of my list in terms of Philly value. Him and Tony Bradley are like the 2 guys I'm the least confident in from Philly. Because I think Tony Bradley could legit not play, and I think, Paul Reed could probably play like 18, 20 minutes. Enjoy Noah's Q&A while you can, fellas. He's blowing up. Yeah, I appreciate all you tuning in. Probably going to end the stream in about 10 minutes or so. We've been live for almost an hour already. Dude, time just flies by when I do these streams. I feel like I clicked the go live button, and I've been talking for an hour and didn't even feel like it. Time just flies by. 5,100 left. Who should I play at util? Let's see. 5,100. I feel like there's already a couple of guys I have in mind, but I'll take a look. I mean, assuming you don't have Maxey, it would be Maxey for me. But if you have Maxey already, then I would probably go, if Colin Sexton's out, then I would probably go with Damian Dotson. Lost 2K on garbage time. Oh, yeah, garbage time, man. It can either make or break your night. It's either going to help you a lot or it's going to completely ruin you. Do you like Cam Reddish with Bogdan hurt? Yeah, I think he should benefit with Bogdan out, but I still think like Trae Young, Collins, Hunter, those are the 3 guys I like most from Atlanta. But, Reddish is definitely in play. I did write him up in my article on Patreon. Ball, Maxey, John Collins, Danny Green, Birch, Drummond, Sabonis, Martin. I mean, there's some guys I like in there. Like Birch would not be one of them, though. Martin, like Cody Martin or Caleb Martin, I would not be playing on this slate. But the rest looks good besides those 2 guys. Anyone else get the feeling we're fixing? Yeah, there's a good chance that they have to pause the season. I already saw that maybe they were planning on doing that for 2 weeks or so. I mean, it's crazy how many games they've had to postpone recently. The stream misses music. Yeah, the music, I decided to cut it off for today because it was kind of making my stream lag a little bit. Maybe I'll bring it back, though. Or at least, at the beginning, the stream would be all laggy because of the music. So I decided to cut it off for today. I feel like there's really no difference. You don't really tell the difference, but oh well. Does home advantage figure into your choice or does it? No. Home court advantage, it doesn't make a difference. Thoughts on Middleton? Yeah, I don't really when Giannis is healthy, when Drew Holiday's healthy, I don't really play Chris Middleton. That's just me though. The only time it was Saturday when Giannis was out. That's the first time I've played Chris Middleton all season. Embiid, Beal, Ball, stat good. Yeah, I have no problems with all. You can play all 3 of those guys for sure if you can make it work. Favorite spin ups? For me, it would probably be Julius Randle, Giannis, or not Giannis, but Julius Randle, Embiid, and probably Bradley Beal. So Embiid, Beal, Randle, favorite spin ups. When you do stars and scrubs, do you do stars first? I mean, it all depends on the slate. This is a slate that sets up to be stars and scrubs because we have so many good studs and good spots Bradley Beal, Embiid playing with all their guys out for Philly, and we have good value as well. There's some values that project really well, like Maxey and Scott. So you could probably start with those 2 guys, start with your maybe 1 or 2 favorite studs, and then kind of work from there. See what you have left after those 4. Plug in 2 studs, plug in your 2 favorite values. You never want to force value, though. There's going to be value plays that project well, but you never want to just play guys just because they're cheap. Today's a slate, though, where we have values that, project really well. Robin Lopez, yeah, I'm not really on Robin Lopez. I think there's the chance that he does start today, but I would rather target Mo Wagner. I think Wagner's just a more productive player. they're going to play probably the same amount of minutes. If not, Wagner maybe even sees a few more minutes. Like Lopez, he's just not that productive on a point-per-minute basis that I don't really want to go to him on this slate, even if he does start. Dotson if Sexton is out, Danny Green, or Neto. Between those three, I would go Dotson, assuming Sexton's out. Also, I know anything could happen, but how many Philly guys do you think is optimal in one lineup in a DK GPP? I think 3 is probably like the sweet spot. And, the 3 chalky guys are going to be Maxey, Scott, and Embiid. If you want to get different, then you can maybe play a 4th and then kind of run it back with someone from Atlanta. I don't see a ton of people doing that. Do you ever collaborate with any of the other DFS YouTubers like Osimo? I've never collaborated with anyone. There's guys I'd probably like to. There's some guys I do watch. I do watch the Osimo guys. I watch some other YouTubers. There's definitely guys I would like to collaborate with, but so far I haven't yet. I think me getting on these streams and, answering questions, chatting with you guys, that's definitely helping to kind of put myself out there, I guess. Need to know Kings injuries. Yeah, the Kings injuries, that's the important, question marks right now. Will Marshawn Holmes play? Will Buddy Hield play? That's kind of what we're waiting on. If Sexton is out and Dotson is go, would Yogi cut into Dotson's minutes? I have no idea. They just signed him today. He could play 20 minutes. He could not play at all. I really have no idea. I wouldn't assume so because Dotson's been playing pretty well lately, so I think Dotson still gets big minutes. If you had to stack one game, which would it be? It's probably the Philly-Atlanta game. I know that's going to be the popular stack for today, but there's just so many guys I like from Philly. You can run it back with guys from Atlanta that are going to be lower owned. I normally don't force any game stacks, but this does feel like a night where, having a Philly-Atlanta game stack makes some sense. Mitchell Robinson or Bagley as a utility. If we get news that Rashawn Holmes is out, I think I would rather play Bagley. But if we don't have that news before lock, then the safe play is probably just go with Mitchell Robinson. What's your mindset for higher end single entry in terms of how you roster build with around 500, 700 people? I think, some people say in a single entry tournament, you should be playing your cash lineup and then making a couple swaps. I think that's totally fine. Maybe start off with some chalky guys. So maybe you play the Philly chalk, you throw in Embiid, maybe you throw in Bradley Beal, who's going to be popular, and then you kind of mix it in with lower owned guys. You don't need to have, 3 guys that are under 10% owned. Just having 2 guys, maybe even 1 guy that's under 10% owned, that's going to differentiate you in a 600, 700 man field. You can have a pretty chalky lineup and still win a tournament in those kind of lineup or those kind of contests. So my best advice would just be to play a pretty chalky build, like the optimal lineup, and then maybe make a couple swaps where you think you could, get a guy that's lower owned that has just as much upside. But there's all kind of ways that people approach those. That's how I would approach it, though, personally. Do you think Seti bounces back? He sucked against Milwaukee because he had Chris Middleton defense all game. I'm not really on Osman tonight. I think there's other guys I'd rather go to. But if Sexton winds up out, then I think that does give a boost to Seti, and he would become a more viable option if Sexton were to be out. But yeah, right now he's not a core play for me by any means. Denny Avia worth the play on Yahoo at $12? Yeah, we talked about Avia. I think he's a really good play at $12. He's too cheap in my opinion. The music is distracting. Yeah, I was watching my stream back, and it kind of sounded a little bit loud. I tried to turn it down as low as I possibly could, and it was still pretty loud. So probably just going to cut the music off for now. All right, guys, I'm gonna be wrapping up the stream here probably within the next 2 or 3 minutes. So get your last minute questions in, and then we'll wrap up everything. Thank you guys again for tuning in. We've been live for about an hour. Appreciate all your questions. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Kept the stream fun with all your questions, so I do appreciate that. Thoughts on Bradley Beal? Yeah, Bradley from Philly. I'm not really on Tony Bradley. I don't think, I think there's a legit shot he doesn't play. He could be one of the 9 guys that doesn't suit up. Just because, they already have Embiid, they already have Dwight Howard. Unless they play Tony Bradley alongside Dwight Howard, or if they're going to play Tony Bradley alongside Embiid, I don't know if they'll do that, though. So, it makes it risky. He's a productive player when he gets minutes, but I have no idea how many minutes he plays. But yeah, guys, best of luck tonight. It's 4:30. I'm going to wrap everything up. I appreciate all you tuning in. Justin, thanks for tuning in, man. Good luck tonight. I hope you guys, run good. Best of luck. I'll see you most likely tomorrow. I'll probably have a stream same time tomorrow, about 3:30 Eastern time.